Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Doug Belk here. I'm here with our general manager of sales and hospitality and restaurant and all that stuff, Erin Pearson. She's got a busy list of things to do, and so also on top of that, she's a mom, and so very difficult times right now with COVID, but some probably some really cool family time I would imagine that you're having right now. So Erin, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, thank you. It's a bit of a harried morning for us, but that's okay.
That's just part of the life right now. So everyone's feeling it. You're not alone. Trust me. So Erin, why don't you tell everyone about a little bit about what you do and kind of some of the changes that you've seen in our restaurant and in the winery since the beginning of this epidemic or pandemic. Sorry.
Yeah, so I oversee the wine shop operations as well as the event department and the bistro. So obviously there's been some really big changes there. First and foremost is that dine-in operations have ceased and gatherings of people have ceased. So the event department and the bistro are both hit really hard with that. We're luckily still able to offer takeout, which is really helpful on the restaurant side, but it did mean, a number of our staff needing to be laid off. So there's some challenges there trying to get, a quality product out and have it available at the best times for guests is really tough as well to navigate. There's a lot of disappointment on the event end. Obviously, a lot of weddings are having to be canceled, and we are seeing a lot of really sad people for that. So that makes sense. The wine shop operations have changed significantly as well, but it's still kind of trucking along. So we've just kind of looked at it in a different way and marketed products in a way that we felt that people would be more apt to want to purchase them. So some of those kind of games and things just to keep people busy, just really trying to make people as happy as they can when they're stuck at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys have done a great job in terms of kind of finding a niche and what are things that people want, while they're stuck at home, while they're socially distancing from others, and trying to kind of create ways that they can still support local businesses, not just ours, but others. And so maybe tell us a little bit about that and kind of how that came about.
That's really a team effort, to be honest. When during our manager meetings where we do this kind of same platform on Zoom is really helpful, and engaging with the team, hearing from everyone and their different points of view. There's still people who come to work every single day and are at work, whereas a lot of us, are stuck in our houses all day. And what appeals to me, maybe something different than appeals to one of those people who do get to go out and engage with people all the time. So hearing everyone's point of view, I think, is really helpful. And it was kind of a collaboration from the entire team for sure, which just goes to show that we're a really good cohesive unit.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we have a fantastic team, and luckily led by great people like you. So restaurants, let's go back to the restaurant side. I mean, obviously there's a big changes right now. We're doing curbside pickup. We're doing skip the dishes. A lot of restaurants are in kind of the same boat. What do you think that maybe tell us a little bit about the economics of running that type of a restaurant versus the full service restaurant that, we traditionally have run?
It's definitely a different beast altogether. We now have to look at things. Restaurants have always been very cost conscious. The margins in any restaurant are very slim. So even the slightest dip or peak in sales really does make a big difference. And then when you see something like this happen, where it is a significant reduction in sales, it really makes it hard to keep your bottom line in the positive. We still need someone to cook the food. We still need someone to bring the food out. So we're really running on a tight line there. So I think that, hours of operation are really important to think about and consider, but we're looking at ways to package our things differently to make it more appealing. And instead of, plating and service and bill times and things like that, it's more about trying really just to make a really quality product that travels well, that can get into the bellies of people and make them happy. It's just kind of, some days we have no sales, some days we are overrun. So it's definitely something I've never had to deal with before.
Yeah, you and many others. And I mean, you've been in the service industry for a long time, so I think that that means a lot coming from you. Yeah, I know it's really interesting. The restaurants typically run on a margin of anywhere from kind of 3 to 10% if they're really lucky. And so when you have something like this happen, and you're using delivery services which charge anywhere from 20 to 30% on each sale, then it doesn't take long before most restaurants are actually in the negative. So
Mhm.
finding ways to make it work economically and keep people employed is definitely a challenge. Um, when this turns around, I mean, we think that potentially it could look a lot different. I mean, maybe people, maybe they open it up, but you have to create more distance for people. Restaurants might look a little bit different. Maybe, do you have any thoughts on what that could look like in the future, or when we reopen in the end?
I think that it's, again, just thinking about margins, and like you said, there's that really, really small amount of margin that restaurants make. Um, the unfortunate part of this is that some of those restaurants may not make it through this,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of worst case scenario, obviously. The ones that do, I think that, yeah, I've thought of what social distancing looks like. Do we just do that forever now? What does that mean? I think that it's a day-to-day thing that we have to take um, with a grain of salt. You kind of just take it one step at a time and see what the regulations look like, and you have to adapt. I certainly think also that the number of guests that we'll see will either be, it'll probably be a big peak at first. People are excited, they want to go out, they want to eat, they want to dine, they want to share. But then there's that other side of things where a lot of people are unemployed right now. They don't know when they're getting their next paycheck. So does it really seem like something they'll want to spend their money on when they come out of all this? Or are they
Mm-hmm.
going to save that extra money and put it on their credit card or something like that? So it could really go either way. And I think that, yeah, like I said, just taking it one day at a time to really understand what that's going to look like is important. But I think we're all a little in the dark right now about that for sure.
Hmm. So, I mean, a couple of like, there's always changes and trends that happen within restaurants. And, two of the trends that I think we'll likely see coming out of this is people feeling that value is going to be important because maybe they don't have as much money. And then number two, that safety concerns, safety being spatial awareness, versus a bustling restaurant where you're basically side to side, or even community tables were the norm. Do you think those are things that we're going to have to maybe look at and evaluate and change within our restaurant, or do you think that's something that people will be happy to go back to the way it was?
I'm hoping there will be a certain element of that, but luckily we work in a space where we're not usually elbow to elbow. That being said, the events department will see probably a change in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that it really just depends on what we're allowed to do. It might mean spacing out the tables on the patio so we don't have as many out there, which is a detriment also because we have such a great patio, and it's usually generally full most of the time in the summertime. So yeah, I'm kind of hoping not, because I think that's kind of the vibe, and that's the hope, is that when you go out, you are surrounded by people. That's why you're going out, right? Like if you just didn't want to cook, you'd probably order takeout anyway.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, luckily we've got delicious food, so that helps with the takeout. So maybe just kind of touch base on the event side. So we do weddings, we do corporate events, wine and cheese, corporate dinners, that kind of stuff. Um, what do you think the future holds for that? Do you think it's going to be again back to norm, or do you think that people are going to have different requirements of their events going forward, virtually or others?
I think that, this isn't going to turn around in a day. It's not going to turn around in a month. And we're probably going to be living with this sickness in the community, and people are going to be a lot more cautious for a long time, I think. So, I think that those retirement parties and things like that, where people are getting a little bit older in age, we might see maybe a bit more of a reduction of that because they know they are more at risk than younger groups. I think that virtually is a really interesting thing to talk about. Even this meeting we're having right now, this is something you and I never did before. This is something that our team never did. To connect, we always found a room and we always all came and sat down. But here we are, we've used Zoom for a number of things, something like this, or even, our staff happy hour that we have on Fridays.
Mhm.
yeah, it's just a different way of looking at things, but I don't think it's necessarily a detriment. It might actually be a positive thing moving forward, because then maybe we can accommodate, weddings of 1,000 where we can usually only do, 100 at a time, and things like that. So there might be a little bit of a bump in some areas and a little bit of a kind of fall in others.
Yeah, I always think it's funny because I mean sometimes we get really concerned about a change in norm. And one of the things that we definitely do very well here is we've got a beautiful setting at the winery. We're on the Nechako River. It's very beautiful in the summertime. We do a lot of weddings. We do a lot of these events. And I think that people are now thinking about maybe doing them in a different way. And so it's always concerning whenever there's change, but it's also opportunity. And how people might start seeing their wedding as being much smaller and condensed, and not flying people in from all around the world, but having them join in a virtual way and being able to interact, two-way communication during that time. Could bring the cost down for weddings, which would be great for a lot of the ones. You might be able to condense more weddings in, and you're just providing the service in a bit of a different way. And I think that's I'm really excited to see some of the stuff you guys are coming up with, and I know we're trying a few things out and hopefully releasing it soon. So stay tuned for those of you who are thinking about getting married here in the next little bit. So moving on from like the business side, you're a mom and you got a busy household. So what are some ways that people might be able to pass the time? If you've got kids, obviously they got a lot of energy they need to expel. and so what are things that you're doing in your household to kind of keep people busy?
Well, I think a lot of us have found ourselves in a spot that we're not used to. I as you know, I have 2 kids, so 6 and 4, and we're used to our routine. Monday through Friday, we all get up at the same time. We make breakfast. We get ourselves ready. I drop the kids off at school and daycare respectively, and then I go to work. We all have our time away from each other, which is really important to keep, especially the kids, not at each other's throats. So we're struggling with that a little bit. But I think we all kind of found ourselves in a different space than we thought we would be at. So, a lot of us workers are now, who used to be full-time people, have 40 hours a week at home with your kids. And someone used to take them out for, sledding and do painting and teach them their letters and things like that. So now not only are we working from home, we're also daycare and school from home, finding ourselves wearing a bunch of different hats. So it's actually not a time thing that I'm looking for things to do. It's actually, how am I supposed to get all this done in such a short period of time at home, while still getting my work done in an appropriate way, but also providing them stimulation in a way that they need. So whether that's like a learning capacity or outdoors or something like that. So I think we're all navigating it. Probably some people are having a harder time with it than others, but I find that the best thing we do every day is that I make sure I'm always up at a certain time. We get up, we have breakfast right away, we get dressed, and then start our day. And I think just like that simple morning routine is really important, especially for children.
Yeah, so routine is really important, and keeping them stimulated. It's not, so that's interesting. It's not actually about finding things to do. It's about actually trying to get everything done
And I think there's a little bit of an element too. I'm quite an extrovert. Almost every day, any day I'm at home with the kids, we're finding something to do. We would be going to the park or the museum or having play dates. So it's just trying to figure out ways to do that again, but have it happen at home. So we've even used Zoom FaceTime to connect with extended family members as well.
Nice. Do you think, so, I mean, one positive I know, like in my own personal family, it's been really interesting is, also me and my wife are very, very busy people. And so we're always kind of looking at, we're always kind of out and about. So if we get home and then we go and we play tennis, or or we'll go to see some family or whatever. And right now that's totally been kind of stopped. So it's actually given us an opportunity, me and my wife and my new son, to kind of actually relax and spend more quality time together. And I actually think that's something I'm going to take out of this, and I'm going to maybe kind of appreciate and foster a little bit more going forward. I think that's kind of a cool thing, and it's a real positive that's come out of this. Really, if anything, I mean, of course, not seeing people, but I still feel like I'm communicating with them digitally, and then I'm also able to spend more quality time with my own family.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's nice that, we do have that face-to-face but not face-to-face thing available, so they can still see their grandma and
Mhm.
their aunt who's self-isolating by herself at a country home. So um, yeah, I think that that's really helpful for all of us, and we've kind of taken up to new hobbies. We're spending a little bit more time. um, they help me plant some of my seeds that I'm starting for my garden, and we do family yoga every day and things like
Oh,
that. So
cool.
it's trying to just, broaden our horizons as well.
Nice. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. So, is there kind of anything that you think kind of moms at home or families at home might have be interesting for them? Something that you're doing that's maybe a bit different or unique that is a good kind of working well for you, and maybe is something they could kind of practice in their own lives.
I think I see it all over the internet as well. Like I said, routine is really important just to get everyone's sanity in line, but wine helps sometimes. So just try to remain positive though, really. And I think those, especially for the extroverts out there who are finding themselves at home a lot, connecting with someone every day is really helping me through it. So whether that's a phone call, quick 5 minutes to my sister just to catch up, or I'll FaceTime with, my friend from Calgary for an hour and a half. So just making that time to connect with people, and also giving yourself some space. And forgiveness is really important too. Your house will not be clean during this. That's for sure.
There you go. So it sounds like you're going to have to go pretty quick, Erin. But if people have any questions or thoughts for you or the winery, how can they reach you?
Via email is fine. You can also leave a comment below. I'm reachable, Erin at northernlightswinery.ca. Yeah, that's probably the best way.
Awesome. So I think this is some really great learnings here, talking about taking the best out of a negative situation. Family interactions are better than maybe they've been in a long time. Learning new hobbies coming in, learning about virtual connectivity, and how we can kind of all help each other out because we're all in this together. And hopefully, when we do finish this, it's going to change some things for the better, and some things we'd like to come back to normality as soon as possible. So this has been great, Erin. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great week.
Yeah, thank you. You too, Doug. All right.